So, welcome to this lecture series on environment and ecology presented by Mentors for IS in association with Bangalore IS Academy and Namak APSC. Uh, so, today in this particular video, continuing with our aquatic ecosystems, we'll be discussing about mangroves. However, before we move on ahead, I would just like to inform you that this is an initiative of Namak APSC to help students to prepare and study from home with the help of YouTube videos, current affairs which are available on the website, PDF materials for every subject, and online tests to track your preparation. So do remember to visit www.namakapsc.com for more information. Okay, so we'll continue with our discussion about aquatic ecosystems, that is mangroves. Now, mangroves are the characteristic coastal forests found in tropical and subtropical regions, especially where you have sheltered coasts. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, mangroves are nothing but trees and bushes growing below the high tide level and have high tolerance for saline water. So, such plants and trees are known as halophytes. You can just make a note of it. They are known as halophytes. That is plants which have high tolerance to salinity. Now, when it comes to mangroves, there are about 80, that is 80 different species of mangrove trees, and all these trees grow in areas with low oxygen soil where slow moving waters allow fine sediments to accumulate. Mangrove forests only grow at tropical and subtropical latitudes near the equator because they cannot withstand freezing temperatures. Hence, mangroves are generally found only between 25 degrees north and 25 degrees south. Please, you can make a note of this. Please do make a note of this. Mangroves are generally found within the tropical and subtropical regions, generally around 25 degrees north to 25 degrees south, because they cannot withstand very cold temperatures. Now, many mangrove forests are also recognized by the dense tangle of prop roots that make trees appear to be standing on stilts above water. This tangle of roots allows the trees to handle the daily rise and fall of tides. So these roots slow the movement of tidal waters, causing sediments to settle out and down of the water and hence help in the building up of the muddy bottom. So you can see in this picture over here, it is as if the tree is built on a platform above water. That is how these roots actually give this effect to these trees, as if they are standing on stilts. Now, the importance of mangroves is because they help in stabilizing the coastline, they reduce erosion from storm surges, currents, waves, and tides. The intricate root system also makes these forests attractive to fish and other organisms seeking food and shelter from predators. So these are some of the important characteristic features of the importance of mangroves, whereas the characteristic features we will now discuss about mangroves. Okay, so as I go on explaining the characteristic features about mangroves, you may try to identify them and try to relate to them with the help of these images over here. So some of the characteristic features of the trees and plants or shrubs which are actually found in these mangroves. Now, the mangrove trees are evergreen, which are found along sheltered shores, tidal flats, deltas, estuaries, bays, creeks, and barrier islands. Please remember, they are evergreen trees. The best locations are where abundant silt is actually brought down by the rivers. That is why wherever you have river mouths, more or less you can or you may find mangroves. Now, these mangroves are adapted to grow in anaerobic soil which is saturated and submerged in saline water. You would have seen it in the previous image in the last slide. So, the soil is saturated and submerged in saline water, but these plants also require a lot of sunlight to grow. When it comes to these mangroves, some mangrove species like Rhizophora sends arching prop roots. They send arching prop roots down into the water, while others actually send vertical, that is your pneumatophores. They send pneumatophores, that is nothing but upward growing roots from the bottom. They are able to grow, they are able to send pneumatophores which are nothing but upward growing roots, unlike your normal plants which always send roots downward. Now this is nothing but an adaptation so that they are able to rise up above this saline water, which is nothing but providing anaerobic conditions in the soil. So they rise above the water so that they are able to take in oxygen from the atmosphere. So these are all adaptations of the mangrove forests, trees which are found in mangrove forests. Mangroves also have something known as lenticulated barks. Lenticulated barks. Now, these lenticulated barks refers to pores which provide a pathway for the direct exchange of gases between internal tissues and atmospheres through the bark, which is otherwise an impermeable, which is actually impermeable to gases. So this is also for water loss, and therefore water loss. And apart from this, the leaves which are found on these trees are also thick and contain salt secreting glands. They contain salt secreting glands, and sometimes if you ever go to mangroves, you should also be able to see salt crystals on these leaves. This is because these trees have to adapt to this particular environment, and since they take up roots from this saline water, a lot of salt is also introduced into their system. So all this salt is removed from the system via these secreting glands which are present on the leaves. So therefore sometimes you can find salt crystals on the leaves. You could also have some plants or some trees which block the absorption of salt at the roots itself. Another important point when it comes to mangroves is that they actually exhibit something known as viviparity or viviparity. Now, this is nothing but a mode of reproduction. That is, seeds germinate in the tree itself before falling from the tree. This is an adaptive mechanism to overcome the problem of germination in saline water. So see, normally what happens is you have a seed, you have to plant the seed, that is you have to put it inside the soil and only then will it actually germinate. So what happens with these trees are that the seed will germinate when it is still on the tree itself, and after germinating will the seeds actually fall down, so that once they fall down they should be able to grow, because in such saline conditions it will be difficult for the seed to germinate under anaerobic conditions when submerged under water. So they germinate first and then they drop down from the tree. So this is another adaptation which is actually found over there. They may also have adventitious roots which emerge from the main trunk of a tree above the ground level and are called stilt roots. You should be able to see over here, the diagram over here, you should be able to see stilt roots. So they can have stilt roots and prop roots which grow from the tree and then via air actually move, not via air, they actually protrude from the trunk or from different parts of the tree and then they move towards the soil, whereas you have pneumatophores which emerge from the soil and move in the opposite direction, that is towards the air. So you can just make a note of this. You have prop roots, stilt roots and pneumatophores. Okay, so all these things are nothing but what I have already explained. You may just pause the video once and just read through it once. Okay, next, the importance of mangroves. Now, mangroves, as I've already explained earlier, help in stabilizing the coastal shores. Since mangroves have special roots such as prop roots and pneumatophores, they help impede water flow and thereby cause deposition of sediments along the shores. These mangroves also moderate monsoonal floods and also protect the coasts from cyclones and reduce the effect of tsunami. Apart from that, mangroves are also said to prevent soil erosion and hence loss of coast. It provides a safe and favorable environment for breeding and spawning of fishes, and therefore mangroves are said to have very high productivity as well. They have very high productivity as they also support a lot of other species and organisms. Apart from that, mangroves enhance natural recycling of nutrients and supports numerous flora and fauna that I have already mentioned. It can also offer employment opportunities to local communities and provides wood, medicinal, and edible plants to the people actually living nearby mangroves. So, therefore, you have many benefits of mangroves which should actually encourage us when it comes to protection of mangroves from its destruction. Sometimes you can also see what happens is that many times mangroves are also interchangeably used. The term mangroves may be interchangeably used to refer to habitats where you have these forests and also to the assembly of all the trees and shrubs which are actually found in such habitats. So mangroves may refer to the habitat itself, or mangroves may refer to the type of trees which are actually found in such habitats. Okay, so you can just make a distinction between this. Now, moving ahead, obviously, just like all other aquatic ecosystems, mangroves are also under tremendous amount of threat. Mangroves, even though are widely important because of its many benefits, they are destroyed for fuel, for fodder, aquaculture, agriculture. It could be for mining, fertilizers, or industrial purposes. Or almost any reason that you could think of is now used to destroy mangroves, not just in India but actually across the world. And it is actually important for us to conserve mangroves, considering the importance, the ecological benefit, the social benefit, the economic benefit of mangroves. Having said this, let me just move on to the next slide, that is mangroves in India. Now, mangroves are actually found in every coastal state of India, including Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep. So, every coastal state in India has mangroves, including Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The largest expanse of mangroves is spread between India and Bangladesh. That is nothing but Sundarbans, also famous for your Royal Bengal tiger. The mangroves of Bhitarkanika, which is the second largest, is found in Odisha. It's found in Odisha, Bhitarkanika mangroves, and this is actually known for very high genetic diversity. It is known for very high genetic diversity. So you can just make a note of it. Bhitarkanika mangroves noted for high genetic diversity. Okay, so with this we actually conclude our discussion about mangroves. However, we may just discuss a particular question which has been asked in your UPSC when it comes to mangroves. So there's a question sometime back which actually said that which one of the following is the correct sequence of ecosystems in the order of decreasing productivity. So here you have oceans, lakes, grasslands and mangroves, and you have to arrange them in the decreasing order of their productivity. See, here the question is kind of open-ended. Now, we really cannot say if the question is asking for the what do you call as these ecosystems in its entirety, or is it asking in terms of productivity per unit area? Because if you take in its entirety the entire world, obviously oceans will have a lot of productivity. After oceans you have very big lakes which will have more productivity, then you can have grasslands, and then you can have mangroves. But this question is understood to have asked based on the concept of productivity per unit area or per unit time. So if you consider productivity per unit area and per unit time, then the greatest productivity will be in mangroves. After mangroves you'll have grasslands, after grasslands you will have lakes, and then only you will have oceans. So actually it has to be option C if you consider productivity to be production per unit area and per unit time. But this question is more or less debatable and kind of open-ended. So if you do have any doubts, please do write to us in the comment section. Please remember to make the best use of these online facilities which are actually available to you. Thank you.